Good day again, peoples. One angry pagan. Now, I was supposed to be doing EnviroVid today. EnviroVid episode 5. But, first I get challenged by racists and right-wingers on another one of my videos. And now, I refresh my YouTube channel homepage, and what I see is from Sky News. Watch live UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination discuss UK riots. Ooh. Ooh. I thought we might have a look at this one.
Good afternoon.
If you like this, please like, subscribe, comment. I like engagement. Yeah. I will get this EnviroVid done at some point.
I declare open the 3091st meeting of the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination.
3091st meeting. Damn.
Today, the committee will proceed with the consideration of the combined 24th to 26th periodic reports submitted by the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I would like to warmly welcome the delegation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland appearing today before the committee, led by the head of delegation, Ms. Elizabeth Mary Hawkins, Deputy Director of Communities Governance and Institutions, Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government.
Remember, this is UN. The riots, the UK riots here, have made it to discussion in the UN.
The head of delegation is accompanied by a delegation of officials from the UK, to whom I also address my warm welcome. I look forward to a constructive exchange. I now invite Ms. Elizabeth Mary Hawkins, Deputy Director of Communities, Governance and Institutions, Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, to introduce her delegation and to deliver her opening statement, which should not exceed 10 minutes overall. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for the warm welcome today. We have a delegation today representing the UK government's departments and also the devolved governments in Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. The long-standing position of successive governments is that no one should have to endure racism, and we are fully committed to building a fairer country and taking the action needed to address racial inequalities. The UK has received many waves of migration from different parts of the world. This means that 18% of people are from ethnic minority backgrounds in England and Wales, 13% in Scotland, and 8.1% in Northern Ireland. And it is from this diversity that we draw our strength. In a recent global survey...
I like that. Immediately, that's what she says. This is from this diversity that we derive our strength. I like that.
98% of people stated they are comfortable living next to people of a different race.
So all you right-wingers thinking you make up the silent majority, it's bullshit. 98% of us don't agree with you.
Which places us third globally. We are proud that the UK is one of the most welcoming and tolerant countries in the world.
Well, it should be, anyway.
That puts into context some of the violent disorder we have seen across the UK in recent days. Those people inciting or participating in this violence will face the full force of the law.
Fucking right.
We have been heartened to see the much larger numbers of people protecting their communities, joining community cleanups, and raising money for victims. They do our country proud. We know that racial inequalities do exist between different groups. And the UK's long-standing investment in data means we can target specific disparities and take effective action to address them. The previous UK government launched the Race Disparity Audit to consider how people of different ethnicities are treated across public services. It then launched the world-leading Ethnicity Facts and Figures website, which has been welcomed internationally for its open, data-driven approach. Since the last CERD monitoring period, successive governments have...
Wait a minute. Is that a praise to the Tories? What the fuck?
Reviews of ethnic disparities. including race in the workplace, disproportionality in the criminal justice system, and detentions under the Mental Health Act. And the findings of these reviews has helped us take evidence-based actions to improve ethnic minority outcomes. The previous UK government's work is summarised in the Inclusive Britain strategy, published in 2022, which set out 74 actions designed to build a fairer and more inclusive society.
How many of those have been taken?
The government published annual progress reports to the UK Parliament in 2023 and 2024. By the time of the second report, 62 of the 74 actions had been delivered, including guidance to help employers measure ethnicity pay gaps and campaigns to increase the proportion of judges.
Okay, this sounds good that most of this is achieved. I'm gonna have to think. I think I'm gonna have to find out like what each of these actions were to see if they were actually good enough. But on the face of it, that doesn't sound too bad. However, yeah. Let's see.
Judges, magistrates, and police officers from an ethnic minority background. We are proud of the progress we've made since our last CERD review, but we remain humble about the scale of the task still required. A new UK government was elected last month, saying that tackling barriers to opportunity will be a priority and committing to several measures to root out racial inequalities. This includes the new government's intention to legislate to enshrine the full right to equal pay for ethnic minorities and to introduce mandatory
So
ethnic...
bringing that into law? I didn't hear about this. I didn't fucking hear about this. This wasn't in the King's Speech. Okay. I mean, but what does that entail? Is what's the nuance of it?
ethnicity
That's
pay
the question.
reporting for larger employers. As you will be aware, we are the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. We are a union of nations comprising England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. While the UK is a sovereign state and is ultimately responsible for the whole country, several powers are devolved to the governments of Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, including in areas which cover equality issues. I will shortly pass over to my colleagues in the devolved governments to give a summary of the actions they have taken to promote racial equality. We also represent the Crown dependencies of Guernsey, the Isle of Man and Jersey, and British Overseas Territories. They are territories for which the UK is responsible, although they are independent administrations. On racial equality, Guernsey introduced the Prevention of Discrimination Ordinance in 2023, which enhances its anti-discrimination legislation. Jersey is developing a hate crime law, which addresses offences motivated by hatred or prejudice. The Isle of Man introduced its Equality Act in 2020 and intends to introduce hate crime legislation.
This is good, but what
All
does it
inhabited
entail?
British Overseas Territories have constitutional
What's the
protections
detail of these
against
laws?
discrimination.
Do they actually will
including
they
on the
actually
grounds of race.
achieve anything?
Finally, I would like to thank the CERD committee for hosting us. We know you will have some challenges for us, and we come here in a constructive spirit. While we have made significant progress to combat racial discrimination over many years, we know there is more to do, and we welcome this opportunity to work with you to achieve that. I will now hand over to colleagues in the devolved governments.
Thank you. The Northern Ireland Executive remains committed to creating better, fairer and more just communities. As our minority ethnic population continues to grow, currently making up 8.1% of our population, we are determined to deliver against our racial equality commitments. The Racial Equality Strategy 2015 to 2025 established a framework for action by government departments covering all policy areas, including education, justice, health, employment and housing. We are committed to tackling racial inequalities, eradicating racism and promoting good race relations in Northern Ireland. We recognise that a lack of available data on minority ethnic and migrant populations continues to be a significant barrier to racial equality, so we are progressing work at pace on ethnic equality monitoring. We acknowledge the importance of lived experience and have established structures to capture the voices of minority ethnic communities to feed into policy development and delivery. Updated racial equality legislation is also planned for introduction in the 2025-2026 Assembly sitting. the new Race Relations Bill will give equal or better protection than equivalent legislation in Great Britain and the Republic of Ireland, as well as keeping pace with European Union directives. There are still huge issues we need to tackle as a society to realise racial equality, and it is critical that we continue to work towards the creation of inclusive and diverse communities free from discrimination. As we begin the development of the new racial equality strategy, we must make good on our commitment to making Northern Ireland a place where people can learn, live, socialise and work together regardless of race or ethnicity. Thank you. I'll pass over to my Scottish colleagues.
Thank you, and thank you to the Chair for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Scottish Government on devolved matters. Scotland is a welcoming and open country with a long history of supporting people of all nationalities who look to make Scotland their home. Our most recent census data confirms that Scotland is becoming more diverse, and our vision is that Scotland in 2030 is a fairer Scotland, where people are healthier, happier and treated with respect, and where opportunities, wealth and power are spread more equally. We are determined to show leadership in tackling racism and dismantling barriers so that people from racialised minorities can realise their potential and their rights. This includes safeguarding Scotland against those who spread hatred and prejudice, underpinned by our Hate Crime and Public Order Scotland Act 2021. The violent disorder we have seen in the UK is unacceptable.
Fucking right,
In
it's unacceptable.
2016, the Scottish Government published the Race Equality Framework, setting out our long-term vision for race equality up to 2030. From 2017 to 2024, the Scottish Government distributed £16.2 million directly to organisations working on race equality issues. The Scottish Government published the Anti-Racism in Scotland Progress Review in 2023, which shows that while we have made progress in many areas, we know that racism persists in our communities, in our schools and in our workplaces. We will continue to work with partners across sectors to build a fairer Scotland, ensuring our evidence-based policies are founded in anti-racism principles and informed by the lived experience of communities. And I will now pass to my colleague in the Welsh Government.
Thank you. My name is Amelia John. I'm Director of Communities and Social Justice in the Welsh Government. I will begin by saying the Welsh Government utterly condemns the racist and Islamophobic violence, criminality and intimidation we have seen over the recent period. The Welsh Government recognises the deep inequalities that face Black, Asian and minority ethnic people in all spheres of life in Wales. We are wholly committed to tackling race disparities and creating an anti-racist Wales. This vision is set out in our Anti-Racist Wales Action Plan. The plan was co-produced with ethnic minority people and organisations. An external group of ethnic minority people and experts on anti-racism supports, challenges and holds accountable Welsh Government in the delivery of the plan. Our regional forums will facilitate direct engagement with ethnic minority people across Wales. The plan seeks to deliver change across every area of government, including education, employment, housing and health. A robust measurement framework has been developed by our Race Disparity Evidence Unit so that we can evaluate change and measure impact. Whilst we've made some progress with the plan, there is still a long way to go. Delivering tangible change is essential to achieving the Welsh Government's goals and maintaining the trust of ethnic minority people across Wales. Thank you.
I thank the head of delegation as well as other members of the delegation from the devolved governments for their statements. I will now give the floor to the three national human rights institutions of the UK for short statements. We will hear from the Equality and Human Rights Commission, from the Scottish Human Rights Commission, as well as the Northern Ireland Human Rights Commission. The last commission will present a video statement. So firstly, I'll give the floor to Mr. John Kirkpatrick, Chief Executive of the Equality and Human Rights Commission. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to take the floor on behalf of the Equality and Human Rights Commission. We are an independent statutory body and an A-status national human rights institution with a mandate covering England and Wales and Scotland for matters reserved to the UK Parliament. This review marks a key moment to reflect on how well the rights under the Convention are being enjoyed in the UK. A strong legal framework prohibits direct and indirect discrimination, harassment, and victimisation. Tools like the Public Sector Equality Duty, which originated in an earlier Race Equality Duty, are designed to promote and mainstream equality in public services. Nonetheless, some outcomes vary significantly for different ethnic minority groups across different areas of life. As state delegates have said, dedicated action plans have been developed by both the UK and Welsh governments to address racial disparities. Steps taken include establishing new UK standards for public bodies on how to record, understand and communicate ethnicity data, and statutory guidance on education support for children from Gypsy, Roma and Traveller ethnic groups in Wales. But there is evidence that racial disparities in enjoyment of rights persist. In particular, for Gypsies, Roma and Travellers, Black, Pakistani and Bangladeshi ethnic groups, who continue to have lower outcomes in areas also highlighted by the state delegates, including criminal justice, employment, housing and mental health. These disparities are the focus of our report and our intervention today. For example, in criminal justice, Black children made up 26% of the youth custody population in 2023, compared to just 6% of the general population aged 10 to 17. Black offenders and those of mixed ethnicity were also more likely to receive a custodial sentence by
I'm sorry, but these right-wing fucking assholes talking about, oh, two-tier Kia and two-tier policing. Really? And they think it's happening to them? Imposter syndrome. Well, like, this is ridiculous. What the fuck? It's like, if there is any two-tier policing, it goes the other way. And yet these racists and right-wingers seem to think it's going against them. Right. Okay.
comparison with white offenders in the same time period. When qualification levels and geographical location are taken into account, workers from Pakistani and Bangladeshi ethnic groups have the largest pay gap when compared with workers from the white
That's
British
not right.
population.
That's
Households
just
headed
so
by
wrong.
a person from the Bangladeshi ethnic group have the highest level of...
And by that I mean that it's not right that it should be that way. I'm not saying that the guy, what he's saying is wrong. I'm saying what he's saying is happening. It shouldn't be happening. That's what I'm saying. It's wrong. I'm not saying that he is wrong.
overcrowding compared with all households. People from black ethnic groups in England are 3.5 times more likely than white people to be detained under the Mental Health Act. This review...
You just know racists out there are going to go, yeah, because that's because black people of ethnic minorities are more likely to be mentally disturbed, which is bollocks. This is actual bollocks.
Review of UK progress should be a moment to consider solutions. The new UK government, elected since we submitted our report, has committed to act in some of these areas. As the UK's equalities regulator and one of the UK's national human rights institutions, we look forward to advising the administrations in the UK and Wales on their specific proposals to achieve racial equality in Britain. We ask that government ministers and officials look closely at our report and action our recommendations and those of the committee to ensure the full enjoyment of human rights by all in the...
This is only just something this is just flitted across my mind, so take it as you will, but is race equality or like, we want race equality, but given where we are, should we not look at race equity as well? It just flitted across my mind, alright? Don't pick on me. No, okay, pick on me if you want to, but like, it just occurs to me, like, there's that old picture, isn't there, of that old cartoon pic where you've got it's double, you've got equality, like people trying to watch a game over a fence, and you got equality, and people of different sizes, and they're all stood on the same size box, meaning the last guy can't fucking see. Equity, the equities part of it shows, like, the tallest person can see over, it doesn't need a box. Second person has one box, and the shortest person has two boxes to be able to see, and they can all see it. That's equity. I wonder if that needs to be looked at too. Just say it.
The UK. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kirkpatrick. And now I will give the floor to Ms. Ailith Dixon from the Scottish Human Rights Commission. You have the floor for 2 minutes.
Thank you to the committee and to members of the government delegation for enabling the Scottish Human Rights Commission to make the following remarks. Since the last review by this committee, the Scottish Government has embraced the challenge to its institutions to become anti-racist. It is too soon to assess results. However, the Scottish Government's records suggest that there may be some challenges in converting principles into meaningful change. There is a need for more tangible, measurable, and informed actions to progress Scotland's race equality framework. Issues with data, particularly concerning further marginalised groups of people in Scotland, have been long noted without effective improvement. Public institutions have worked to recognise and respond to how historic injustices perpetrated by the state continue to leave a legacy of inequality in the enjoyment of convention rights.
Interesting.
In our meeting with the committee, we highlighted the forced assimilation of gypsy travellers as an example of how such harms can manifest in outcomes today.
I have gypsy blood. Roma and Brittany gypsy blood in different parts of the family. Forced assimilation, not how it should be done.
And as an area where the Commission is currently undertaking work alongside communities.
That's pissed me off, Dad.
Immigration is a reserved matter. However, the Scottish Government has a commitment to supporting people who choose to make Scotland their home within the parameters of the Constitution. Measures such as no recourse to public funds conditions force many migrants into poverty or unsafe situations, and we encourage both governments to work together to end, and if not to end, to mitigate the harms of such policies. Incorporation of the Convention, as the Scottish Government has committed to doing, offers a real prospect of justice for individuals who experience violations of their rights, but also significant proactive culture change across the whole of the public sector. We are waiting for the Scottish Government to set out how it will ensure that the bill is effective and robust, including for people who experience racial discrimination in their rights. Finally, I was deeply struck by the words of one woman who spoke to us in our pre-report engagement. She told us, "We think from the way your government talks, the UK is where I will have rights. Then you get here and realise that there are no human rights, just black and white." I can encourage members of the delegation and members of this committee to...
That's a damning statement. That's an indictment on our society. That is. It is indictment on the successive governments and the right-wing media that have led us down this route.
Consider carefully these words over the next 2 days and in their follow-up to this review. Thank you.
I thank Ms. Dixon from the Scottish Human Rights Commission. And now the last statement of the National Human Rights Institution will be a video statement of Dr. Colin Cockey, Director of Policy of the Northern Ireland Human Rights Commission. I think we're ready to listen to the statement.
Okay then.
On behalf of the Northern Ireland Human Rights Commission, thank you for the opportunity to address the committee today. Since the UK's last review, Northern Ireland was without a fully functioning executive for 2 significant periods, totalling 5 years. The recent reinstatement of our devolved institutions is welcomed, However, it does not guarantee that the outstanding issues relating to racial discrimination will be addressed. Further, the impact of the previous UK government's regressive measures regarding our domestic human rights framework is gravely concerning.
Finally, I like, we've been going through all of this so far, and there's been like the only mentions of the previous governments has been the stuff that they did good. Apparently, finally, we talk about the evils of the Tory governments.
And needs to be remedied. In this context, we draw your attention to three issues. Firstly, the rights of migrants, refugees, and people seeking asylum have been undermined.
Yes, they have.
Piecemeal legislation in recent years has sought to restrict rights and deny access to the UK asylum process. We await clarity on how the new UK government will rectify the harm caused, and this must include the dismantling of the overarching legislative framework. Locally, Northern Ireland remains the
I wonder if that'll happen. I want it to happen, but I wonder if it will.
only part of the UK without a refugee integration strategy, hindering all aspects of integration and negatively impacting access to adequate housing, education, and other services. Secondly, the UK government's hostile environment policies have a detrimental impact in the devolved context. The NI executive must work to mitigate the discriminatory impact of these policies within Northern Ireland, for example, in access to healthcare. Lastly, racist hate crime in Northern Ireland is increasing, including through organised attacks. Northern Ireland lacks standalone legislation to tackle hate crime, and prosecutions remain low. There are worrying reports of paramilitary affiliated individuals perpetrating racist intimidation to deter ethnic minorities from taking up housing in certain areas. Hate crime legislation and steps to address the effects of paramilitarism must be brought forward as a priority.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's well said, I think.
I thank once more all representatives of national human rights institutions. Before moving ahead, I would like to quickly explain how we will proceed this afternoon. Our dialogue will take 3 hours. According
I
to the
am not
methodology,
fucking recording for 3 hours. I might put this on a separate tab, actually. You know what? I will do that. I'm going to put this on a separate tab. I'm going to make this a mini series on this channel. Having a look at this, because I'm not sitting here for 3 hours straight recording. My back will give me shit for days if I do that.
that delegation has received, the dialogue will be divided into 4 segments. And this afternoon we will focus on the following themes. Under segment 1, we will cover statistics, convention directly and fully applicable in the state party, anti-discrimination legislation and Article 1 of the convention.
Okay, so what we've got here is an outline of what this is going to be talking about, and just some quick figures and the state of play essentially, going into this committee discussion. Okay, well, we're gonna leave it there. I think I will put the link to this in the description. I hope I can. I'll try to. Yeah, I'll put the link to this in the description, and you guys can check it out yourselves. I'm going to do this as several parts, I think that's how I'm going to do it. I'm just like, yeah, I know I've done 2-hour long videos before, but I'm not sitting here today and doing that. I'm just not. But I like that this has been brought up in the UN. I think it's also good to actually, see what's going on here. Hear about the situation from the independence rights groups from around the UK. I'm a bit surprised that there wasn't much condemnation. There's been obviously was condemnation towards the end there of the previous government, but not so much before that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think so far. I know it's like, yeah, we've only done 25 minutes of this, I think. Yeah, we're just about 25 minutes through this, or 20 minutes through this. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. This is something I think that we down on the ground level need to talk about as well. We can't just leave this to people up in the UN or in government or in councils. We need to be talking about this amongst ourselves too. So yeah, this is One Being One Angry Pagan, reacting to the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination discussing UK riots. Please like, subscribe, share if you like, comment. I like engagement, as I said earlier. And please, badgers, look after yourselves. My shield at your back. Blessed be, and good weird.